It is my pleasure to introduce to the stage from North America, it's Tribe.
And there we see them, D'Enzio, T-Tigers, and Max Green. This is a team that comes so far from challenging North America to now on the world stage. And Zio tweeted to me actually and said that, hey, Sui, we're going to beat G2 for you.
Yeah, looking for a little bit of redemption from, as we've mentioned, in London, it was G2 that took down what was then the Immortals roster with Zio as one of those members of the team. So a lot of revenge on the mind.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure one of the other teammates is at the arena as well. Isn't that right, CJ? But yeah, look at that. Max Green, D'Enzio, T-Tigers. This is an all-star roster. We've been saying it all weekend. Each and every single one of these players, some of the most mechanically gifted players in this entire building.
And the player to watch for me in this team is definitely Max Green. The guy is enabling his teammates so incredibly well. Every time he uses an ability, every time he uses an item, it's always on point. And he's such a calm and collected player as well. Doesn't fall prey to his nerves and the pressure of the stage.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm expecting him to live up to that exact reputation. But we can't have a game without having two teams on the stage. So it's about time that I introduce the European All-Stars stepping on in. It's G2 Esports.
And this is the team that did manage to beat Immortals back in the Western Unified Championship that still had D'Enzio. I really do believe that they have a shot here at winning this quarterfinals against Tribe, especially when you look at Hungo and his performance yesterday during day one. He's always on point when it comes to his positioning, especially in teamfights.
Yeah, and this team, their story to get to Worlds was a little bit exciting, to say the least, but they have not let it phase them whatsoever. They came out yesterday, earned themselves a spot in the quarterfinals, and now they're going to look to make it further in an international competition than any other European team ever has before.
Not only that, I'm so impressed with G2. They are the record breakers for Europe.
Yep.
They beat a North American team, and now they beat an international team on a world stage. They are coming in this with so much momentum.
Yeah, these are the guys that they're the Titanic, if you will, the icebreakers. So, although the Titanic didn't do such a great job. Maybe that was a terrible analogy. We'll have to wait and see as we get on into
the iceberg.
I just want to clarify. That was not where I intended to go with that one. But that's big. That is one of the big questions, though, isn't it? When it comes into this matchup, Tribe are definitely the favorites. I think that is fair to say, coming out from North America and also just a star-studded roster. And in their games yesterday, just looked unparalleledly confident. That's not a word, but they just looked insanely confident going through their games. And also, actually in game, we even saw Zio dropping charms, channeling recalls instead of getting kills. If you're on stage and you got that much confidence, you know that you're feeling strong.
Yeah, and one of the things that I love about this team the most is the fact that, you had your player to watch as Max Green. It's very difficult to choose a player to watch with this team because at any given moment in a game, any one of these three players could be the one that steps up and makes highlight reel plays, and they do so consistently.
Absolutely, and when you're making highlight reel plays, you're bringing out the kills as well. Let's take a look at the statistics coming out from these two teams coming on into this series. And I want you to take a look at the KDAs for the two teams, because that is the significant difference right here. 5.1 for Tribe up against 1.5 for G2 Esports. That is a significant deficit in favor of Tribe.
Yeah, and look at that KDA. That's really scary. You can see how much more aggressive Tribe plays. They prefer the NA style meta, which is jungle pressure, jungle dominance with Koshka. On the side of G2, they prefer the slower scaling mid to late game. Baptiste is a pocket pick, and surprisingly yesterday had an 80% win rate.
I mean, the average time to win speaks volume to that exactly, just because G2 likes to drag on the games longer and longer until they get to that late game stage, while Tribe usually try and close it out fairly early on, especially if they manage to get a lead and snowball.
At the same time, though, when you look at a KDA like what G2 Esports has, and they're still finding wins, it goes to show that either A, they're not getting into team fights at all, like they're not giving up kills to their opponents, otherwise they wouldn't be getting the wins, and they're also focusing more on the objectives than they are on looking for the kills. You don't need a ridiculously high KDA in order to win a game of Vainglory, and G2 is a team that understands that.
Absolutely. Now, I do want to give a shout out to one of our partners here at the Vainglory World Championship. It's mogularena.com. Now, you guys at home, if you're inspired by esports, if you want to get involved in competition yourself, head over to mogularena.com. They have tournaments all over the world. They will be in your region. And also, if you head over there, you have a chance to win a 5 versus 5 golden ticket, guaranteed access to 5 versus 5. So head on over. But I want to talk about Max Green here. He's our player to watch. We already mentioned him earlier on. This man, not only mechanically is insanely gifted, but also he's kind of the glue that sticks this team together. He seems to just understand the game at a level that very few players actually do.
And his team is playing around him very well as in draft. They're always making sure to get him his best heroes in the Churnwalker, the library. You can see his most played heroes. Those two are of them. And Arden is something that he's played in the past, but hasn't played too much of recently. In this matchup against Keanu Noah, he might prioritize on taking that pick away from him.
And you look at his career path, it is a straight line upwards. I mean, earlier this year in the spring season, he was a substitute on a Vainglory 8 roster. And all of a sudden now he is at Worlds as a starting captain, as a player to watch, as being one of the most impactful players on the fold. It has been absolutely incredible to watch his growth in such a short time.
Absolutely, and I cannot wait to see if that continues to be the case here today. Now, we've talked about who we think are going to be taking this one. We've talked about what our expectations are, but I want to know what the audience here today thinks about this matchup. I'm going to pass it over to Dan Gaskin, who is standing by in the audience to go for our Coca-Cola predictions.
Thank you very much, Munchables, and welcome to the Coca-Cola pre-match predictions. Now, you might be saying, why do we need predictions from the crowd when we have analysts? But I mean, I don't think they predicted that TSM would be knocked out. I don't think they predicted that Rocks were going to be knocked out. So let's find out from some real fans. So I've been talking to a guy called Jordan, and I say guy, I mean, he's only 15 years old, and he's here with his brother, who's 10 years old as well. Now, I got into esports when I was about 13, so you guys are getting into it very early as well. Where are you from, Singapore?
Yep, Singapore.
So does that mean you are an Impunity fan?
No, I'm...
Traitor! Traitor! Leave him alone. It's okay. I'll protect you. It's all right. It's fine. All right. Who are you supporting then?
Cloud9.
Cloud9? Okay, so Cloud9, they're in a strong position. 2 unified championships, of course. But next up, we've got G2 versus Tribe. So for a Coca-Cola pre-match prediction, who do you think is going to win this one?
Tribe.
Tribe. I mean, doesn't even go for Europe, even though I'm here as well. And your little brother, 10 years old, my friend, if I can get his attention as well. He's distracted, it's okay. All right, who do you think is going to win this one, G2 or Tribe?
Tribe.
Okay, so both Tribe interviews. Okay, so what I'm going to do is you get yourself a bottle of Coca-Cola. Enjoy the match. It's a pleasure to talk to you. We'll send this one back over to Munchables on the desk.
Thank you very much, guys. That was an adorable little interview right there, but also some North American fans in the building right here. Choosing Cloud9 over Impunity. I'm a little bit shell-shocked off of the back of that one.
At the same time, though, going for Cloud9 and for Tribe, predictions on point. They may want to get up here in a couple of years, but definitely great to hear from the crowd. Obviously, a lot of hometown favorites here going for Impunity, though.
All right, let's start to talk a little bit about what we're expecting to see in this series at hand right now. We've got Europe against North America coming on through. The crowd apparently is supporting Tribe for this one, but I want to talk about Update 2.10 and what we're expecting to actually see in the game, because we've already seen the meta developing somewhat over the games yesterday, and I expect that to continue to evolve over the course of today.
I mean, one thing that has not been, we haven't seen too much of throughout the day one is Lorelei, and that's because teams were trying to keep it as a hidden pocket pick. Still, they didn't want to play it too much. It's really, really strong in 2.10. I expect to see a lot more Lorelei going through the quarterfinals and the semifinals especially.
Yeah, and for me, it's a pick that we have been seeing that we weren't necessarily expecting. We talk about how it happens every single tournament. Kestrel has been making a pretty solid impact in a lot of these games because teams are adapting to how to play with her and playing her in a different style than what we have seen previously, focusing on objectives rather than on hero kills.
Now, Sweejay, you are the weatherman. What is your forecast for these drafts in this game? What are you anticipating seeing here?
Churnwalker has been picked and banned so often. Blackfeather actually had a 100% appearance in pick and ban, so we will see him as a point of contention. But I see with G2 and Tribe will pick heroes that are aggressive in jungle, and G2 needs to counter, potentially probably with a Baptiste, or maybe even a Rhyme if Koshka is picked here.
Yeah, what's interesting is that Blackfeather did get 100% pick ban rate throughout day one, but he only had a 58% win rate, so not the highest when it comes to the success that the teams have picked him up.
Not the highest, but 58% is still pretty solid when it comes to win rates. You know, most heroes averaging somewhere in the 45 to 55 win percentage. So it is definitely still a strong pick, but teams have figured out how to deal with it.
All right, well, before we jump straight on into this game, just making sure the players are ready on stage, making sure everything is hunky-dory before we jump on into the draft. In fact, the draft is underway. Don't forget, later on in the weekend, ladies and gentlemen, on Sunday, we are going to be unveiling 5v5, the new Vainglory game type. Cannot wait to see the action coming on in, but let's get on into the draft here. Right?
That's exactly what I was expecting. The Lyra, the Chinwalker, and then the Arden pick for Kiana Noah. It's all about the captain heroes. And then the Koshka first pick for Tribe. They're so comfortable with that pick and confident in that T-Target's being able to carry with it.
Yeah, it's like a redo of Worlds last year. Koshka was so priority pick for a lot of the aggressive teams. And Alpha is going to be taken off the table. They potentially could see as a counter to Koshka, especially in the mid to late game.
I think it's more actually for the early game. Throughout all the games we've seen Alpha thus far at Worlds, she has had pretty strong control early game, or at least the strongest performances in the early game, and then faded off towards the mid to late game. So I think they really want to just get the Alpha off the board because they are focusing on winning the early game, taking control of the jungle away from Dark Potato, and that has been the key to success against G2, is if you can put Dark Potato behind, so much of what they do relies on Hundor, but all of that is built out of the jungle with Dark Potato.
And at this point, G2 can either make a choice of banning another captain hero,
Sky,
limiting the Tribe picks, or going for the carry picks, the Sky Weapon Power. The reason why they went and banned it is because Tribe, when played it yesterday, combined with the Koshka, that is a very, very aggressive early game composition that G2 just don't want to deal with.
So now Tribe can secure Vox here, and then last pick the Grace, which is actually a very strong early game composition coming into G2. So now Vox is still open, so Vox will be a very good pick for G2 because Vox actually is very good against Grace because of his Sonic Zoom, his mobility. He can dance around the stun that she has with her B ability.
The difficulty, if they do go for Vox, though, is that Koshka can chase down Vox very easily. She can stick onto him, and his mobility and maneuverability is suddenly massively diminished because of just how much Koshka brings to the table, especially, again, if T-Tigers gets an early lead.
The thing that Dark Potato plays really well is the Cruel, and it's something that also can work against the Koshka. You're able to hold off against her throughout the early game because your dueling potential is so high. So G2 could go for it, and if they do that, they can combine it with something like the Celeste. Instead, they're going to go for the Baptiste.
Yeah, Baptiste Vox looks really solid here for G2. Blackfeather is still open, so we could see potentially Blackfeather on the side of Tribe as a weapon power laner, but I think they'll probably go for potentially Kestro, honestly. So I think for this pick, Vox will make the most sense, or even Kestro. Hunter plays a pretty solid Kestro as well.
His Vox yesterday was phenomenal, Hundor's. I mean, when they played it yesterday, his positioning, this guy makes sure he's always outputting the highest amounts of DPS that he potentially can in a team fight while also staying safe just enough.
Yeah, the biggest concern I would have with the Vox would be the fact that it takes a while to ramp up. So I like this Rona pick going into the Koshka because she's going to be in melee with you. The concern then becomes the Grace. If Holy Novas connect onto Rona and interrupt a red mist, all of a sudden Rona becomes a sitting duck.
Yeah, out of all the lane carries, Rona had the highest win percentage rate at actually 66%. Actually, Sky had the highest, but Rona had the second highest. So Rona is looking pretty strong in this meta. Vox looks like a decent option for Tribe right now because he can dance around the Rona and avoid her ultimate. So let's see if Tribe's going to settle with his Vox here or surprise us with a different pick.
Yeah, Vox could definitely work for Tribe just because of the fact that they have, you know, Rona wants to ramp up and wants to build up during a fight. So picking up something that can also ramp up and build over the duration of a fight can go toe-to-toe with her.
Wouldn't be surprised if Vox gets out here. For the record, the highest win rate that we have in the competition is Rhyme with a 100% win rate so far. At least so does the sheet. But Tribe, I mean, with this last pick, they can either go for the Vox or play with something like the Baron. DNZO's played it in the past. They're going to go for it. And it's the idea here is instead of fighting in close range against the Rona, you use the long range that Baron does bring and try to kite away against the triple melee.
The difficulty is going to be, however, that Rona is so durable. This composition that Tribe has is very, very burst focused. And if you do not burst this Rona down quickly enough, she is going to stack up and become impossible to kill.
Yeah, I'm a little worried. G2 has a solid comp. That's actually a comp that China plays a lot, and even EA, Detonation as well. Rona, Arden, Gauntlet with the Baptiste Ordine, that's a lot of CC and an Echo Gauntlet. Baron won't be able to get out.
Yeah, absolutely. If they can get onto that Baron, they can cause some devastation for the likes of Tribe. Now, this is North America going up against Europe. This is the first game in our quarterfinals here at the World Championship. I want to know who you guys are favoring. I want to know who you think has an advantage in this one, not just from the draft, but in general. Coming on into this one, Iraqi Zoro, we'll start with you.
I'm going to have to go with G2 just because I have so much hope in them. Even though I think Tribe is overall the better team, I feel like G2 with that Rona pick, with the Baptiste, going to be able to play very aggressive and take it out.
I'm actually going to go with Tribe because I do remember now back in the spring season, Baron Koshka was a devastating force. It had about a 90% win rate when it was played in the spring season. The early game pressure, you think of Baron as a late game hero, but the early game pressure that comes out when you get the Koshka there, you can find kills early and accelerate his late game so quickly.
Yeah, I think the drafts are pretty even, but I'm going to go with Tribe because of Koshka and Grace. Max on Grace is phenomenal. That's where I'm making my bet.
We'll have to see whether they are going to be taking this one. Now, this is going to be a best-of-5 series between these two teams. It's about time that we kick this off. It's about time we get into our quarterfinal. So I'm going to pass it up to our casters and get on into quarterfinal number 1.
Thank you very much, Munchables. I'm Action Jackson here with Dowsey, and we've got a great game coming up, a great match coming up. It's going to be Tribe and G2 in the quarterfinals. Europe versus North America. This is one of the El Clasicos, man. I'm excited to cast it.
El Clasico, EU versus NA. Technically, you could call it a rematch of the G2 versus Immortals matchup back in spring of the Western Unified Live Championships. I'm sure Zio would consider it a rematch for sure, where G2 became the first European team to take down a North American one. We'll have to see what can happen here on the world stage when there's just so much to play for. EU looking to, or G2 looking to make EU proud.
They are indeed. We're on to the Halcyon Fold, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get this one rolling. It's going to be an exciting game. Zio's got a bone to pick. He was on that first team to lose to Europe. Is it going to be a repeat here? Tribe certainly doesn't want that to happen. Let's talk about the compositions a little bit, Dowsey. We were sitting up here trying to predict what might be coming out. And both of us were really into this Baron pick out of Tribe.
Yeah, so Baron, when paired with Koshka, Tasty Bacon, tasted on it a little bit. Before we do this, look at Keanu Koa here. This is such a cheeky little strategy here. He's pulled the wave of G2 into the turret. So this wave of Tribe is now going to hard push into the turret of Hundor, making Hundor's lane very safe. That's just a really cheeky strategy. Backscreen noticed it. It wasn't a full execution of this wave manipulation, but now that if Tribe want to go invade as a 3, then that wave is going to push into Hundor, and that's going to make Dienzio lose CS. So we see Dienzio has to go back into lane. That's early aggression from G2. Well, actually a neglection of their aggression. They've basically cut down the aggression that this Kosh can call out. G2 are pulling out some really amazing strategies right now. Their understanding of the 2.10 meta and rotation meta as well is pretty high class. It's something that many people didn't expect coming out of Europe recently. We'll have to see against Tribe, the dark horses of this tournament, the dream team put together mid-season to take down Team Solomid to prove that they can take a world championship. Tribe and Zio with Max Green trying to do it all. We'll have to see how they can do it in this quarterfinal.
Absolutely. Tribe right now are certainly trying to be proactive, though, trying to ignore the fact that G2's had that really smart start and try to slow them down a little bit by rotating as a group, looking for Elder Treants. They're finding revenue streams where they can on the map.
Yeah, the minion candy coming out of Max Green there, really big because it kind of says, oh, you want to push the wave into your turret? Here, have a huge wave. That ties Hundor up in the lane. You can see that T-Tigers is just moving in, stealing away jungle.
This is a little bit dicey. Max Green is thinking about going in with the team here. Dark Potato falling quite low. Dienzio's doing a good amount of damage already. Just that single weapon blade forces G2 Esports back. Unfortunately, though, Tribe was not really able to find much in the way of jungle camps off the back of that play. It was mostly pressure designed to keep Hundor, I guess, away from that lane.
Yeah, I mean, let's have a look at the CS in the lane. It is 19-12, but there is a massive stacked up wave that Dienzio is about to catch and consume for himself. So that'll put the CS differential back towards even, and this Baron will continue his scaling efforts into the late game. The composition drafted from G2 here, very good at all-out aggression, but they have to weather a storm against a Koshka and a Baron in the late game.
Tribe able to take away that Elder Treant. We've got Dienzio rotating down here as well. This could be an opportunity for them to try and find some picks. Hundor is quite low, needing to use that Enter the Fray to get on out of there. Dienzio still wants a little bit more. Doesn't have jump jets though, right? Oh, he does.
Just came back up, and the damage they've outputted here basically means that Dark Potato can't secure his jungle.
Oh. Dark Potato's got to be careful. Keanu nearly going down, just barely able to get onto that turret. It's very difficult for G2 Esports to contest what Tribe is doing here in the early game.
Yeah, really difficult, and especially considering Dienzio is actually very comfortable giving up CS to do so. If at least for G2, they've kind of got that silver lining that Hundor is going to be scaling alongside the Baron at equal pace, but in this jungle, T-Tigers on his signature Koshka pick is just dominating with the support of Max Green and Dienzio here. And G2 are attempting to match the aggression and match the play coming out of Tribe here, but unfortunately they cannot do so quite to the same level with Grace Koshka. It's just such a strong combination.
Had they found that Elder Treant, maybe G2 could have been keeping pace, although hang on a second, Dark Potato needs to get back up to the lane. He's caught out a little bit. Dienzio tries to rotate in. He might swap target though as Keanu gets knocked up by that Holy Nova. T-Tigers was a little too low for the commitment out of Tribe. However, they find that forward Treant. The aggression from Tribe keeps on coming.
And the level difference is crazy here. Yes, they secure their Treant. Yes, they could have like re-engaged because the Crystal Sentry was there, but it's a 2-level differential between T-Tigers and Dark Potato right now. That is craziness. They have choked so much gold, so much experience off G2 here. Dark Potato, often criticized as being one of the members of G2 that potentially holds them back. His hero pool has been considered weak, and that it's all about Hundor, and he hyper carrying, put the team in the backpack. I feel like that's a very unfair representation of Dark Potato, but clearly Tribe have recognized that if you can shut down this jungle, then you are hurting the team. And when you have someone such as T-Tigers, who's just such a force to be reckoned with in North America, respected so wholeheartedly on this Koshka, then you really need to consider that ban.
We do have some power spikes coming in for Tribe right now with Aftershock and Sourblade picked up. That's going to be the initiation. T-Tigers immediately trying to set up a kill off the back of those purchases, but he cannot quite do it. Dienzio unable to get and stay in range of Hundor for long enough in that fight. That being said, Tribe has done a good job of forcing some resources here. They might be able to continue sieging and make G2 have some kind of an answer. Looks like they're just going to back away and play safe, though.
Yeah, it's going to be Max Green attempting to go back and get that fountain. Purchase comes through. Keanu Nakoa also looking to combine his resources and get a fountain of his own, waiting for that trickle gold to come through. And there is fountain purchase. Very late fountains coming out from both these teams. They've spent a lot of time rather than in the lane accumulating gold, instead pressuring the jungle and trying to deny experience and gold, of course, on Dark Potato, really singling out that member. But Batiste is this hero that you can pressure quite heavily, but he's going to have impact regardless. He has a fairly cheap build in the sense that he realistically only needs 2 items to be able to have influence. That first item, Shatterglass, if you can delay it a lot for a long time, that definitely hurts the mid-game potential coming out of G2. We're at 7 minutes, and Dark Potato is still 600 gold away from a Shatterglass, which means that Tribe have successfully shut down this Batiste threat that can be so detrimental into Baron early game before he gets his weapon power to increase the jump time on jump jets, before he overdrives his jump jets. He is sitting only a bit of XP away from hitting level 8, and this Batiste still doesn't have a Shatterglass.
We do have another initiation coming in here, though. Actually, Hundor trying to counter-initiate onto Dienzio. Holy Nova knocks up 2, however. T-Tigers wants to get onto the back line. You gotta be careful with Dienzio. Getting dunked on the backside is not gonna be enough, though. T-Tigers finds that first blood for Tribe. He wants even more. Dark Potato, the flask is popped. He's just barely able to get on out of there. Dienzio not able to keep this one going. T-Tigers, he might have gone too far. Just barely able to get that reflex block in, escape from the Ordained. Tribe are going to start pressuring onto this turret. G2 doesn't have a very easy answer right now. Dienzio's chunking through it. It's going to be a quick turret here for Tribe. In addition to that first blood there, 2.3k up. Look at this. T-Tigers knew he didn't even need to stay to help with that push. He goes and takes some jungle away too. Tribe are dominating in the early game.
Dominating is an understatement here. They are destroying G2 in the early game. This is something we see very often in these North America EU matchups. But G2 have been heralded as the king of the EU playstyle, the king at turtling out and bringing North America to their late game. So we have to see if they can do that on this very influential matchup. You know, T-Tigers at the moment with a 30 CS lead in the jungle is nothing to sniff at. That is crazy amounts of gold he has. And he has been testing the waters this entire 8 minutes of this game, jumping onto targets, seeing how much damage he can output.
T-Tigers, he's trying to do that just now, but Hundor actually wants to turn things up here. T-Tigers is able to walk away from that red mist. A very slow run and moving forward. Gauntlet comes across. Wow. That's a stun. T-Tigers, he needs that divine intervention, but a fear stops him from keeping the fight moving. He's going to fall. Dienzio, he's over the wall trying to get away, but Hundor wants him. That's some serious damage.
That's an ace.
An ace comes in for G2 Esports. Europe taking the first ace of the game against Tribe.
Hello, G2. Tribe underestimating the power of this all-in composition. G2 drafted. Here's the replay. Let's see how that went down. T-Tigers trying to get involved, runs into an Ordained, gets Fearsome Shade into a Gauntlet, and that point he was dead Areno, dead in the water. Easy cleanup for the rest of G2 because of the fact that Baron still is at a vulnerable state, and of course the Grace can't do much without her teammates around. G2 easy cleanup, managing to take that gold deficit and turn it into nothing in the matter of seconds coming out of G2, and this is the power of their composition. They want to all-in brawl, and if they can survive against the Koshka early and get those all-in brawls in the mid-game, then potentially they can get to a state where the late-game Baron power is not as difficult to deal with. In the late game. G2 have so much power in this next 5 minutes, and if they are able to find team fight after team fight that starts to kind of bridge the gap that Tribe has trying to create, and they can start getting turrets and objectives and gold into their system, then come this Kraken point, they're going to be in a good position. Gauntlets up in 2 seconds, and that is what G2 need to start a fight.
You can see them trying to make something happen right now, rotating around and flanking Tribe, but T-Tigers over the wall does see an opportunity. It's not going to be good, though. He runs into the Ordained very low already. Dienzio, the new target. T-Tigers forced away from the fight. You can see the way this is developing. Dark Potato's got to be careful, though. Good Fearsome Shade to buy him some room. Hundor can't stick onto Dienzio. This could be the opportunity for Tribe to turn the fight back around. Hundor still looking for Dienzio. T-Tigers trying to find Dark Potato. Not going to do it. Oh, he's back in there. He gets the kill. Hundor, he's being kited around. He can't stay on target. Keanu, nowhere to be seen. G2 Esports split up in the team fight, and Tribe takes advantage.
That is the exact word that I wanted to use, AJ. Split up massively. The target focus out of G2 was not there. Yes, you need to take down a Baron, but in that circumstances, you had a kitty cat locked on up and leashed, and you probably could have taken her out if you wanted to. T-Tigers was ultra aggressive, and he could have paid for it, but G2 did not execute on that and did not punish this aggression that the Koshka is continuously outputting. Another jungle rotation being stolen away by T-Tigers, continuing to dominate Dark Potato here in the jungle. T-Tigers has his Aftershock. He's got an Aegis as well, so he can duel this Batiste very early. And you can see Dark Potato has matched the builds here, but he needs to get that Clockwork online, or potentially even just go into an Echo at this point, so that he can have some utility in the jungle. And so, whilst we don't quite often see Echo in the jungle on Batiste, most junglers prefer to go Clockwork so they have damage output. Because of how far behind Dark Potato is, an argument can be made that Dark Potato now needs to fulfill the role as a second captain, go into a more utility style so that they can try and shut down T-Tigers and Dienzio in team fights and allow Hundor to carry.
T-Tigers just popped a Crystal Infusion Dienzio also a weapon one. So Tribe is aware of the fact that they might be able to win another team fight here if they force things. But with giving up that position by the shop, they are allowing for buys to come in from G2 Esports if they want to try and pick up some more items to contest. Tribe has certainly slowed down a lot in the last couple of minutes here. They're really waiting for mispositioning out of G2 rather than forcing the issue. I think that's smart, though. Around this point in the game, when things are comfortably but not exceptionally in Tribe's court, you don't want to risk giving away anything that would be a suboptimal fight for Tribe. Kraken's spawning pretty soon.
And Max Green's just picked up an Echo as well. There is no Poison Shiv for this Rona because Foe Splitter provides Mortal Wounds, but the Mortal Wounds is nowhere near as sustained as a Poison Shiv is. And so this Grace Healing can actually find a window of opportunity where the Mortal Wounds that comes out of Rona's kit doesn't actually stop up any of the healing. Infusions have been finished. G2 know that this is the time to fight, but Max Green's Power Spike could be the influential factor in an all-in brawl if Tribe were to take it.
Someone on G2 Esports needs to open up their scoreboard, see the Echo, and say, hang on a second, maybe we need something more to take this next fight in our favor. We've also got Double Tyrant's Monocle now completed for Dienzio. He's hitting quite a big power spike at this point. It's all going to be about G2 Esports controlling the landscape of the fight. In that last engagement, they let things get away from them. They split up too much. They were very separated from each other. And that's a situation that T-Tigers is quite comfortable in. He can just home in onto the back line and make an assassination attempt. It's difficult for G2 if they don't play these team fights as a unit.
There's many concerns around G2 as a roster. Their preparation for Worlds was very hard done by. Hundor had exams. He was, in fact, very late to arriving here in Singapore due to that. Of course, he made it here, and G2 yesterday showed that they are a force to reckon with, but are they on the same page about everything on this competitive stage? That's the real question. G2 certainly want to put up a big fight here. They certainly want to enter the record boards for EU. Well, they're already in them. They want to take those record books and just throw them out the window and say, hey, EU, we've got your backs. We're here to play. But now with the Kraken spawning here, AJ, these team fights just suddenly became a whole lot more intense because technically both these teams can win them, and it looks like Tribe wants to fight.
Yeah, we might be having something kick off here. T-Tigers just popped a fresh infusion. Tribe knows that this is a good window of opportunity to force things with Kraken on the board. G2 has no option but to react. Keep in mind, guys, Keanu Nakoa is sitting here at 1,300 gold, Dark Potatoes on 1,200. They need to go to the shop and buy, but Tribe are playing Gatekeeper. This is going to be the engagement, though. T-Tigers trying to make something happen. Holy Nova lands onto two people. A good gauntlet does make things a little awkward for Tribe as they try and retreat a little bit. Hundor's quite low, but he's looking for that first kill. Max Green is very, very low on the front line. It is going to be first kill of the fight to G2, but now with both of the damage dealers alive for Tribe, it's very hard for G2 to keep the ball rolling. Dienzio certainly wants more, though. Jumping forward, Keanu hasn't got the Vanguard cooldown, doesn't have Gauntlet, doesn't want to risk it.
Yeah, and actually, Tribe, if they were to continue chasing there, could have just walked into a trap laid out by Keanu Nakoa and Hundor. You do not want to get into melee range of Arona. That's when she thrives against you. A fight fairly even, really, coming out, both of these teams going even, and a fight that has allowed Keanu Nakoa to get an Echo. He has the golden inventory. All he has to do is walk over to the shop and purchase it, which we will see him do in just a second. Echoed gauntlets coming out in the next 30 seconds will be the way that they can lock down this Baron who's been jumping out so consistently.
And I was talking about controlling the landscape of a fight. With Arden, you really have the opportunity, unlike most heroes, to shape the landscape. And with a double gauntlet coming through, it's hard for Tribe to navigate. You see another opportunity for an engagement here, perhaps, but Keanu Nakoa has yet to shop.
I think he's actually doing this purposely. He doesn't want to reveal to the fact that he will have the Echo for the next team fight. 9 seconds left on Gauntlet. Far better to wait until your Gauntlet is available before you show your cards in this game of poker. And so Keanu Nakoa will do his best to purchase the Echo secretly before using that Gauntlet. It's a risky maneuver, especially when Tribe is controlling the jungle shop like this. And realistically, Keanu Nakoa can't backport too easily. If Tribe sniffs it, they can just take away this Kraken very quickly. But the backports have been successful. Echo is now purchased, and Tribe's intuition will be ticking. They will know that this Echo is there potentially.
Ultimately, you're not just going to give up position on the map for no reason as G2 Esports. Tribe should smell that something's up, that a big item has been completed, or that G2 are doing something. This is an opportunity for G2, though. If they can make this engagement initially count, it could be huge. New infusions on Tribe, though. Here comes the engage. Holy Nova blocked away. Hundor's trying to get onto the backline. Dienzio has made space. Where's that second gauntlet? It lands! That is huge! Dienzio, Holy Nova, trying to keep him safe. Divine Intervention, it is going to do so. G2 very close to finding the kill, but it's not quite there. Hundor needs to get back in. He finds Dienzio. It's a trill kill trade. T-Tigers is extremely low, but Hundor is not able to reach the backline. Max Green just defending him right now. Sentry doing a good amount of work for Tribe too. G2 Esports, they trade 1 for 1. These fights are so close, Dowsey.
And that could have gone so differently. Dark Potato had the goal to build a clockwork, but he couldn't go to the shop and finish it. There was infusions on all 3 members of Tribe. There was only infusions on Hundor there. G2 were at such a power deficit, and they went even against Tribe. That is a scary thought for the next team fight, because there isn't that much more power coming into the hands of Tribe. They've got that full build on Baron. They've got the major damage items on Koshka as well. So they need to be playing positional advantage now, because their damage isn't really changing.
This all being said, Tribe does have windows of opportunity where they can abuse this power differential even more readily. You've got a huge cooldown on things like the Echo. It's on 60 seconds right now. When I was starting to think about it, it was like 85 seconds. Tribe, if they immediately take a fight after a trade like that, the trade doesn't do anything. Then you take a fight, and there's no double gauntlet. Dienzio wouldn't have died in that last initiation if there wasn't double gauntlet. So Tribe, they need to be, I think, pretty proactive here. They can't allow G2 Esports to continue to scale.
Okay, so I've made a mistake. I now see that Dienzio hasn't finished full build. So yes, there is more power coming here from this Baron, and Dienzio will be looking to get on into that. I wonder it will be just straight out damage, or he'll go towards a tornado trigger so that he has a bit more attack speed, so that he can try and stutter his way away from this Rona. It would be a very interesting item to come out. He is currently farming the backs by himself just to try and get the gold into his system. Dark Potato now has that clockwork, has an infusion as well. Hundor with tier 3 boots, so he can dive onto this Baron and stick on top as well.
Dienzio, one item that he doesn't seem to be thinking about right now, but I wonder if maybe he should, is just a reflex block, though. I mean, you saw how devastating that double gauntlet was in the last initiation. Max Green can only keep you so safe.
Yeah, and also Bonesaw would have been a fairly impactful item due to the fact that everyone on the side of G2 is inherently tanky in the late game and going to be building armor into this Baron. So Dienzio is really just prioritizing crit here. Going to go back and purchase up that 3rd Tyrant's monocle, just wanting to be all or nothing at this stage. We'll have to see if he can be rewarded for such an all or nothing play. To be honest, when I see something like that, it, I think, gives G2 more hope in their team fights, because of the fact that it's all or nothing. That means there is a nothing involved.
Yeah, and also I think G2 has contingencies in these fights. You know, Hundor is not ever going to go down in just one combination of crit rockets. He's a little bit too durable for that, which means that G2 has a chance to respond to anything Tribe does. Speaking of responses, though, Tribe needs one right now to the Kraken attempt coming out of G2. It's going down pretty quickly. T-Tigers and Dienzio starting to make their way in, but Max Green's already come into this fight. First Gauntlet does a good amount of work, locking up Max Green. Is he even going to be able to get out of here? Dienzio's doing huge damage on the backline, though. Dark Potato just barely staying alive, and in the meantime, G2 finds themselves the Kraken. This is huge, Dowsey. Tribe have been routed. They need to get out of here. Hundor, he wants T-Tigers. He might not be able to get there, though. It is 1 kill and a Kraken to G2 Esports. A huge push incoming against Tribe.
G2 riding on a wave of momentum from Groot Sages right now. And we'll have to see where they can take it here. A Kraken taken against Tribe in the first game of this best-of-5 quarterfinal. Europe showing up here on the world stage against their North American rivals, and they're going to continue pushing into the base. It's 11 seconds on Max Green, which means this choke point turret will take a beating in the meantime. Kianako has 20 seconds on his gauntlet. He will not be able to echo it because of the huge cooldown in this next team fight. And so G2 need to make a very educated decision. Do we team fight and look for a win? Or do we back off with this choke point turret and consider it a battle in this war?
I think probably at this point they just want to go in, burst down the turret, and get the heck out of Dodge. Tribe is able to go for a counter initiation if G2 overstays, and as such they are not going to. 3 turrets actually taken with that push. Massive momentum swing here in the favor of G2 Esports. They are still behind in gold, but that really doesn't tell the whole story.
Right, and let us just reiterate that G2 are the kings of this European turtle style. They so often pull North America to their game. North America wanting to close things out quickly, play ultra aggressive, get those objectives, and win within the first 16 minutes, whereas G2 are very happy scaling into the late game and relying on that big team fight. G2 was struggling in the early game with the aggression that was coming out of T-Tigers, but if any European team could weather that storm, it's the boys in black and white here, and currently these German kings of Vainglory are looking to try and take game one off of the North American superstars. It is not an easy task. Dienzio has prioritized armor over reflex blocks, something you mentioned earlier, and that is probably going to pay the biggest difference in these team fights if Dark Potato can catch him out.
Here we go. Hundor on the front line is already choked down so low, but Dienzio is the new target. He's going to be able to jump out of there. Hundor wants more, trying to stay on top of him. He's got to be so careful. He's nearly down. The red mist just barely keeping Hundor in the fight. Dark Potato, on the other hand, he's making a quick exit. Max Green and T-Tigers, they want more. Hundor, can he get out of here? Red mist is going to keep him alive, but not for long. Tribe rally and find themselves in these 24 minutes into game one of this series. That is huge. A massive push incoming for Tribe.
And Dienzio just stood there knowing full well that G2 were not damaging him. Massive catch out coming out. This fight was so perfectly executed. But, you know, after the CC was layered upon him, he jumped on out of a double gauntlet and a ordained 3 members of CC and just took down G2. The aggression coming out of G2 was not enough to take down this Baron. They're going to get a Kraken for themselves. They pushed down how many turrets? They pushed down so many turrets. There's only 2 left remaining for Tribe to take on down. No, 3 turrets. They've taken down one of the Vein Crystal turrets. There is only 1 Vein Crystal turret left here for Tribe to take down and a Kraken to do it. This next team fight is an all-or-nothing gambit for G2 if they want to stay in this game.
They really need to make a play here. Otherwise, there is no way G2 can possibly defend with only 1 turret left alive. Where's Dienzio right now? He's on the bottom side trying to deal with the sentry, just buying himself a little bit more time to maybe go in around the flank here. You got to keep in mind that if Dienzio jumps over that wall, the split focus that G2 might have to use could be their downfall.
Yep.
Max Green's just trying to play interrupt right now, trying to stop G2 from focusing down the Kraken, which they're doing quite a poor job of right now. It's still very healthy with only this 1 turret left. Here comes a gauntlet. G2, they're pulling the trigger. They know they got to do something right here, right now. Hundor's looking for Max Green. Where is Dienzio? Still on the other side of the wall, but he's coming in and he's looking for glory right now. Going for the Vein Crystal. The damage is there. Tribe take game 1.
What intelligent play coming out of Dienzio there in the last moment. Denying G2 any team fight potential onto this Baron as soon as the objective were available to be taken, and that major objective being that Vein Crystal. Tribe struck gold, and they will take game 1 here against G2. It was a close affair, and North American fans will have to appreciate the effort that the Europeans have been putting into upping their game for this World Championship, but they still need to take a series here if they want to continue in their Worlds train, and right now it's Tribe 1-0.
Keep in mind this is a best of 5. There's a lot more opportunity here for G2 to make a comeback. They showed that they have the capabilities of doing it. Tribe probably sweating a little bit after how that mid-game went. There was a lot of strength that G2 exhibited there. That being said, there was also some big weaknesses, right? That early game did not look that great for G2. Heading into game number 2, that's something they might have to consider.
Yeah, certainly a thing to consider here. The drafts as well is going to be a big influencer on how the team fights will break out. I'm so excited for this series because this is the only NAEU potential if G2 were to leave the competition now. And so for European fans, I'm sure they'll be rooting hard for G2.
All right, I'm very excited to catch this next game, this next draft. So we're going to be throwing it back over to our analyst desks to break things down.
Thank you very much, guys. What a way to start the series. NA versus EU. I'm sure a lot of fans at home were expecting this to be fairly one-sided, right? NA versus EU, it typically is. G2 are not going down without a fight, but Tribe, towards the later stages of the game, when it comes to the mind games, when it comes to presence of mind in these matches, just far superior at the end.
Yeah, both teams played phenomenal. I mean, Keanu with his gauntlet stuns, Max Jing with his clutch, divine interventions to save Zeo. It was crazy. And I was a little worried for Tribe because at the 13-minute mark, Koshka, T-Towers had doubled the CS of Dark Potato. They didn't snowball as hard because only one turret was down. And then that turnaround fight came in at the end. That was just insane.
Yep. Now, I want to start off right at the very beginning of the game. Now, Tribe were the ones to get the first couple of kills. Tribe were the ones that had a small gold lead. But right from the word go, one thing we don't know G2 for is early aggression, and yet they managed to pull off this fight. We have a replay of it for you guys, of G2 managing to pull off not just a fight, but an ace right towards the start of the game.
Yeah, and this was so important for G2 to stop the members of Tribe from being able to snowball this game out of control. This is a very early game composition, even though it has a Baron. And the fact that G2 were able to get the pressure onto the right targets in order to get themselves the kills that they needed to set things up. They locked down T-Tiger so hard during that team fight in order to find themselves the kill.
And it was a very strong power spike that they hit with the Rona. She had picked up her breaking point and an infusion on top of it. So they decided that that was the best time to go for a team fight, and rightly so. I mean, after taking that ace, they also got a turret and a gold mine. It brought them right back into the game as far as gold. And that's how the game went on being very close from that point on.
Yeah, from that point on, it felt like G2 might actually be the ones to take it. They took a Kraken for themselves. They took a few fights on the trot. Then later on into the game, it was Tribe managing to get on top of things. Once they'd finished off the Kraken, they started to take control of the whole map. And then there was a fateful team fight where they just couldn't finish Dienzio. He got both divine interventions. He was kiting around on that Baron. And from that point in the game, it felt like G2's hopes were all but snuffed out.
Yeah, those double divine interventions really saves you. Even when Keanu landed a gauntlet stun over the wall onto Zeo, he still survived from there. Another gauntlet comes out, and Zeo expertly jumps out of it. He has no reflex block, too, so the mechanical skills of the entire both teams was amazing. And Hundor actually played really well against Zeo. Zeo is probably one of the best laners here at Worlds. And Hundor actually was ahead in CS, which is really impressive. But honestly, it came down to team fight, and Tribe was a better team fight late game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Tribe, they're known for their team fighting, right? They're known for their team coordination.
Yeah, and a lot of it was also the target selection. When you're in a late game matchup against a Grace, more often than not, even though you want to focus down the carries, you want to try and blow them up, you're not going to be able to because of the Grace. And if you instead switch your target to the Grace, you focus a carry until she uses an ultimate, and then switch your focus either to the other carry or onto Grace. You cannot tunnel vision onto just one carry because they will be staying alive the entire time.
And that's exactly what they did. That one team fight they managed to secure the Kraken with. When G2 went for it, it was around minute 20. They focused the Grace, they locked her in with the gauntlets, and once you're focusing Grace, she's fairly squishy. She's not the tankiest of roamers, and if she uses divine interventions on herself, then she doesn't have them for her teammates. So the target selection was very key from G2 for the most part, except for the last two.
Yeah, unfortunately, the last couple of fights didn't quite work out for them. Now, before we jump on into this next draft, I just want to shout out that you guys can sign up for 5v5. We have the sign-up website available. 5v5.vainglorygame.com is where you can sign up. That is where you can get your chance to win early access to 5v5 when it is launched. And we're going to be having our debut of 5v5. We're going to be unveiling the new game mode here at the World Championship. That's happening on Sunday. We're going to have international play. We're going to have Renegades representing Southeast Asia. And we're also going to be having a special King of the Hill style tournament. Not only are we going to have the Renegades there on the stage as 5v5, we're also going to be having a couple of other teams joining them as well. We've got the Korean team Rox Armada going to be joining them on stage, and then later on, likely Team Solo Mid will be joining them. So we'll discuss the format for that later on, but it's time to get back to the action here in 3v3. It's time to get into game number 2 of our quarter-final between G2 and Tribe and start off this draft. What are we expecting to see here coming through in the picks and bats?
I would love to see Koshka taken off the board and Baptiste, like I mentioned. I think those are 2 picks that I would like to see banned. There we go, Koshka will be banned here. Now it leaves Churnwalker completely open for Tribe here.
Churnwalker available, but there are ways to deal with the Churnwalker. There's compositions you can build to defeat the Churnwalker. A lot of it relies on heavy dive, trying to get onto him immediately and him and his teammates, or you go for the heavy range.
I was going to say the other way you can deal with it is by picking up the Lyra, then trying to play a range composition with a Vox or a Baron, something that Hundor played so much of in the past, or even the Kestrel.
And the great thing about the Lyra is she can play either of those styles. You can play that long range poke composition where you just break the chains by moving away, or you can go for that all-in dive composition with those portals, the Arcane Passage, if you pick up a couple of melee dive heroes to pair it with.
Yeah, and for some reason, Alpha was banned in the first game, and I was curious to see, is that something G2 plays really well, and that's what forced Tribe to ban the Alpha. But with Lyra, there's so many options open, like Samuel is really good with Lyra, and along with the Kestrel. So Vox is a very smart banner because Vox with Poison Shiv does really well against the Lyra composition.
I feel like G2 are trying to go for the Baron. That would make sense with the Vox ban. If you don't want to be dove on, the other thing that you can go for is the Rona that Vox works really well against. So if you go for the Rona, try to teleport in with the Lyra and just get on top of the Enzio, who's going to be playing a backline carry behind his teammates.
Yep, and there's Arona being banned, Vox being banned, Blackfeather. Those are the 3 kind of meta picks that normally get banned out. And now Tribe has the second pick here, and I think they'll secure their laner and then save it for the counter pick for their last pick.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be a situation where they want to get themselves a lot of power with this selection, but you have to be very careful about what you're leaving open as well and making sure that you can't be countered yourself.
Yeah, probably Weapon Sky with Shiv, Sorrowblade is a great build. The Shiv is going to counter the Lyra, and it's going to counter... oh, that's actually G2's picking Baptiste. So now Tribe will probably select the Weapon Sky and round it out with a solid CP jungler, such as Samuel, for example, would be a good fit here. Or even Lorelei, if they play Lorelei jungle, I would love to see that.
I wouldn't even be surprised if it was the Reza. If they go for the Sky Weapon power, that means they're trying to play very aggressive, so Reza would play perfectly into that, especially against the Lyra, like you mentioned. Reza brings a lot of burst out, so you can eliminate a target very quickly before Lyra sustains them back up to full health.
Yeah, it's definitely a composition that can do a lot of work if they look for something else that has even more lockdown as their third pick. I think if you're the side of Tribe, yeah, they pick up this Reza themselves, so they're going to be looking to just get that, to survive the first 3 to 4 minutes until Reza really hits those power spikes, but then go incredibly aggressive with T-Tigers on this pick.
This is something that T-Tigers has played in the past. This is his play style in a nutshell, basically. Once you got a bit of power behind you, then just take over the game. And we'll see how Tribe are going to round out this composition.
Yeah, I would think Weapon Sky would make the most sense. Other weapon power laners, Baron is open as well. But with Churnwalker, maybe that could be an option they could use. But I think Weapon Sky, with the mobility of Reza and Sky dancing around all over the field, they can target focus so well against who they want to target.
Yeah, and now for G2, wouldn't be surprised at all if they went for the Baron. It would make a lot of sense with the Baptiste and Lyra as well. They can protect him very carefully and try to keep on having him survive throughout the team fights against the Sky, against the Reza. So either the Baron or going for something a little bit melee, something such as the Jewel weapon power that is unlikely, but they played in Europe.
Yeah, Jewel could work, or just go Saul. I mean, if they want to go Saul and win the early game and push objectives, that could work as well, because Saul, Lyra, Baptiste is actually a pretty strong composition. And Hundor plays a really solid Saul.
Yeah, they could also look for something similar to a Kestrel and just try and focus objectives. It'd be very similar to the composition that we've seen out of East Asia with the Lyra Samuel Kestrel, and you, instead of looking for team fights, you just do nothing but focus on objectives. You do enough damage to your opponents so that they can't contest you, and then just take down the turrets. But it is going to be the Baron, and this is Hundor on Baron, an incredibly strong pick for them.
This is a classic for G2 Esports right here. Hundor on the hyper carry and protection across the board for him. Now, before we jump onto this game, I want to hear what your thoughts are on this one, guys. Very quickly, I'm going to ask you for your predictions coming on into game number 2. G2 took it to Tribe in game number 1. Tribe took it in the end, though. Can G2 even up the scoreboard here?
I like Sky into Baron because she's so mobile and she can stay on top of him, so I think Tribe has this game.
Okay, one for Tribe.
I love the Baron pick on Hundor, and I think with the Batiste into Reza, Batiste has the advantage early on. I'm going to go with G2 here.
I'm going to stick with G2. I really want them to win this game, especially just so that we can have a 1-1 going into the later series, but it's going to be very difficult playing against the Sky, like Sui said.
All right, so we have somewhat of an undecided desk. It's time to pass it over to our casters and find out how game number 2 is going to pan out in our first best-of-5 quarterfinal.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm hyped to get into game number 2 here of Tribe versus G2. I'm Action Jackson here with Dalsy yet again. This is quite an interesting draft we have coming through, a Reza pick from Tribe. Dalsy, talk me through this a little bit.
Right, so when T-Tigers picked up that Reza, it was into a Lyra and a Batiste, essentially 2 heroes that counter Reza very well. And so it was very clear that Tribe must have had something in their game book. A weapon power Sky coming through as that last pick forced Baron. And once you've got a Baron, Reza's very good into Baron. So T-Tigers will have eyes for Hundor. We'll have to see if he can execute onto it. But let's not forget, this is Hundor on the Baron. He is known as the best when it comes to Baron in the West. So we'll have to see how this plays out.
All right, the battle has begun. Ladies and gentlemen, game 2 of Tribe versus G2. Tribe leads the series 1-0 for the time being, but they're going to be looking as G2 to change that here. Can they pull it out? They do have Hundor on his signature hero, the Baron, something he was first known for. Arguably, when he first was known for Baron, actually, it was one of the only things he was known for, of course, since he's expanded his hero pool vastly.
Yeah, back in Spring Live Championships, it was that Baron that allowed G2 to take that win over North America's Immortals, Dienzio's old organization. Technically, you could say it's the same team, but I'm sure that T-Tigers and Max Green would argue that they are improvements on the roster. Right now, Tribe are looking to make that Worlds run a reality here. It's going to be a very interesting early game. We've also got Keanu Nakoa on this Lyra. He is known for his Lyra plays. Playoff Beard saying so much that he just loves the captain-making playmaking that Keanu Nakoa can do on this Lyra in our hype videos. Currently Tribe taking over the middle of the map once more so that they can get T-Tigers ahead of this Batiste.
It's a good thing that Churnwalker can't pull people in at level 1, or that would have been pretty gnarly. Max Green landing a lot of those hooks early on here, certainly setting himself up for success, putting his playmaking potential in the forefront of the minds of G2, I'm sure.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that Max Green's Churnwalker has been leveled up so much since the North American Vainglory 8. Yesterday, he had highlight after highlight on this hero, something that G2 are going to struggle with, but Churnwalker's not that great into Baron post level 8.
Whoa, Hundor, that was a very bold move, trying to jump in, find some quick damage. This could be the bait, though. Dark Potato wants to say something about this. Dienzio, he's inside of that Ordain, does have the flask available, though, and T-Tigers is here. It's one quick kill, already on to Tribe. They want more. They find more. 2 kills in 2 minutes. Tribe off to a great start.
Churnwalker not very good into Baron post level 8, but we are very much pre-level 8. And Hundor did not disconnect his chain. That's how that first blood came through. It was the frutility of life through the hooks and chains killing off Hundor. And then, of course, Dark Potato fell shortly. Tribe, 2 kills to the name in this early game. As you would expect, into a composition with a Baron. They are looking to snowball heavily here. And with a Razer and a Sky, they can certainly do that. Both these heroes are very good into Baron due to the fact that Razer and Sky have such high mobility. Razer provides the burst, and towards the late game, Dienzo will provide sustained high damage. And that's something that's very difficult for Hundle to deal with. It's also difficult for Dark Potato to deal with, because when you have one target jumping your Baron, then Ordain can shut that down. But when you have two, then not as much. That puts so much priority onto Kiana Nakoa to have bright bulwarks that completely protect Hundle. And I would make a case that Echo could be a priority item here just for that, so you can control the landscape of the fight with a double bright bulwark.
Notably, after that first fight as well here, Dalsy, Tribe put the Tier 1 turret of G2 Esports within the sort of range of a light breeze taking it down. G2 has to be very cautious about every move they make. That's going to be a lot of damage onto Hundor as well. You can see the Churnwalker setting up opportunities for T-Tigers to move in with the Scorcher. And here at 4 minutes, pretty much on the nose, Tribe take turret number 1. G2 Esports firmly on the back foot.
Yeah, Hundor's not being allowed to farm in the lane here. Oh, his CS is just up so far, but Max Green is holding him at bay, and Dark Potato trying his best to escape.
Got a lot of low members of Tribe right now, but they're not doing anything too risky. They're making sure they just play on the edge of what they have the ability to, trying to bait G2 Esports into a situation that might not be tenable for them. We've already got the Fountain picked up now on the side of Max Green. Next time we have that situation, I highly doubt Tribe will start moving backwards. If anything, they'll try and keep the pressure on, make G2 Esports make some tough decisions.
Especially considering Kiana Nakoa has rushed a Crucible here. Typical of a Lyra to stack that HP on 2.10 so that she can have more impactful Imperial Sigils and try and heal for a larger amount.
That's going to be the pull-in. Max Green keeps on fishing with those hooks. This time, though, G2 Esports react quickly enough to get out of there.
So there's a really fun interaction of your Churnwalker, not so much of your Baron here. If you pull whilst he's mid-flight, then you will pull him back to his jump position. Max Green pulled just a little bit too early, pulled him whilst he was jumping in the animation of the jump, like kneel down to jump, I don't know, at the crouch, there you go. And it didn't actually pull Hundor back, so it made it look like it was a really long jump. If Max Green was just a little bit slower on the pull, his reactions were just a little bit slower, then he actually would have pulled Hundor out of his jump completely, and that would have been a death for sure for Hundor.
So you're saying Max Green is too good?
Too good for his own good.
Reactions that were just too good. Right now, though, Max Green trying to make some more plays happen. There's no turret here to defend G2 Esports. A good amount of damage coming across already. Dienzio blocking the exits. G2 Esports, they gotta get out of here. It could be an ace. Again, Dienzio wants it. He's diving past the tier 2 turrets. Even with that Fountain, though, it is dicey right now. G2 looking to turn it around. A stun comes out. Not going to be enough. Max Green doesn't even fall. Tribe find a flawless 3 kills.
North America, the kings of the turret dive. That was impressive stuff coming out of Max Green and Dienzio and that coordination. And like you mentioned, Dienzio with his best Gandalf impression said you could not pass to G2, cutting off all escape, and Tribe are just snowballing a heavy lead here. It's going to be very difficult for G2 to weather this storm, considering the Baron doesn't have much mid-game pressure. The reason they were able to weather the previous game's aggression was because their team fighting ability as a 3 was so scary to Tribe, and all they needed was to hit those tier 3 items, 2 of them each, to really be able to do that. That's not going to be the case in this game. They need to get that Baron online. It doesn't matter what Kiana Nakoa and Dark Potato are doing. If Hundor doesn't have the damage output, G2 can't win this game.
It's really difficult for G2 Esports right now to navigate the map, though, because the initiation threat range of Tribe is massive. Hook and chain makes it so you can't move up, drop a scout trap, back away. Even if you're close to the brush, you're putting yourself at risk. G2 Esports feels like they've got to do something, though. This might be a little too bold as Tribe do move forwards. They're going to prioritize picking up that gold miner, though. 400 into the pockets of the members of Tribe. They have complete control over the jungle 8 minutes into this game.
Yeah, the front half of G2's jungle is owned by Tribe. The back half will remain in possession to Dark Potato for the time being, as Tribe haven't really prioritized the aggressive back play of the jungle, because they understand that it's not about Dark Potato this time, it's about Hundor and shutting down his methods of farming the lane, shutting down his potential gold income. Tribe's so good at just holding opponents where they want them. If they want to fight them, they fight them. If they want to starve them, they starve them. Right now, Tribe can do it all, and really they could do it both at the same time as well, but G2 not wanting to allow that to happen, back off. Tension Bow comes through from Hundor, a desperate play to try and get some mid-game power. It's a cheaper item. It bursts a little bit heavily.
Oh, no.
Here. Mark screens level 6.
Dark Potato! What just happened? He got annihilated. T-Tigers is pretty low, but there is no way G2 Esports turn on to that play. Very nice setup there. Very nice ambush coming out of Tribe, sorry.
Yeah, and Keanu and Koa had flares as well. I suppose they didn't expect that Tribe would anticipate a play that took so long to execute. They only take down Dark Potato. He will respawn with a Crystal Infusion in inventory and walk back into the lane. Because Keanu Nakoa hasn't built Fountain yet, he didn't use Fountain, so technically you could say that's all right for him. It wasn't really a win yet for Tribe. It was just a bit of pressure. They do lose some backs though, and Dark Potato will be punished for that. 0 and 3 having a hard time against T-Tigers' Razer play, and he has prioritized such a offensive build. Aftershock into Clockwork, it's very low damage, but Razer's power doesn't come from the damage you build. It comes from his heroic perk, Fire Starter. When you trigger that, you just burst so much, and Clockwork with the Aftershock to add to that burst allows you to just do so much damage. T-Tigers is going to be very difficult to deal with. You cannot stop him from moving around. You also have to focus on Diemzio, who's able to reposition himself so quickly with his auto attacks and also his series strike. Right now, Tribe are just looking so good.
They really are, and G2 does not have any easy options for coming back into this game. It's not like they can try and set up an ambush. Basically, their entire jungle is too scary to even go into.
Oh, no.
Tribe are just all over the map, controlling things. G2, I think, at this point, is really relying on a misstep from Tribe.
They say time heals all wounds, AJ, so that is definitely something G2 will look to try and get the most of. A very valuable currency, but Max Green's just purchased Echo, which can mean these team fights can be
That is some good damage. T-Tigers trying to reset this one, though, jumping onto the back line. He's trying to find Hundor. Can he find the kill? Diemzio is going to be doing some good work on the front line as well, chasing down more kills. Keanu wants to get back to the platform, and he will. But again, a clean fight from Tribe. They do not lose a single member.
And Max Green didn't even use his Echo there. A newly purchased item, very powerful in Churnwalker, and he did not need it to be able to dominate that team fight with a Torment. Kiana Nukoa, unfortunately, just is bad at blocking these Churnwalker ultimates. We've seen it this tournament so far. It has been a problem for him. His ability to block Churnwalkers, Trespass hasn't been there. It has not been on point. I think so far he has blocked potentially 1 out of 4 or 5 Churnwalker ultimates that's been thrown his way, which isn't a very good statistic to have to his name. So something Keanu Nakoa I know is aware of. This is something he talked to me about before this tournament. It was something he struggles with. And so for himself, he's going to be really focusing on his ability to block that Churnwalker ultimate. Because if he doesn't, then Max Green is just going to rain on his parade.
There's so few opportunities for G2 Esports here. I mean, I admire them for trying to pick fights, trying to maybe, you know, contest things like gold mines. But right now, look, they're by their second tier turret. It's already down. This could be a good fight opportunity for Tribe, if anything. T-Tigers does get poked out a little bit. Max Green's got everyone on the hooks, though. Looks like G2 Esports, even with the amount of damage they chunked out from T-Tigers there, feeling like they just don't have the ability to actually engage.
Yeah, they really don't. And It's very difficult for G2 to know when they have a point in this game that they can contest Tribe, especially when they aren't taking team fights or poking back as much. They're not really feeling out their damage potential. A very clean surgical game so far from Tribe, really understanding when and where they can't go for these team fights. As G2 group up in this choke point, maybe Tribe looks for the assassination.
Hondor has thrown out that ultimate. Here comes the engagement, though. Deep Tiger is getting annihilated right as he jumps in. He's got to bail. Hondor is doing a good job of making space, but it's not going to be enough. Dienzio on the back line doing some serious work. Hondor is over the wall. Can he find the kill? Not quite. Dienzio takes him down. He doesn't even fall. Tribe are ridiculous. They get themselves an ace.
Yeah, Dienzio throwing out that taunty face for himself. Tribe are feeling good, and they're on a momentum swing right now after taking down former world champions, Rox Armada. You've got to be feeling good about your world's chances. A team formed with one objective: take the 2017 World Championship home with you. Right now, they are doing a fantastic job here, AJ. Let's have a look at how that fight ended. Nope, it's going to start here. It was actually a great block coming out of Kiana Nakoa on that Trainwalker ult, but Dienzio just has so much damage that death from above, they all were channeled into it, couldn't escape due to the great aggression coming out of Tribe. And when you cannot escape CC like this, then it is a scary day to be a European. And Tribe are really looking to nail home that vengeance plot.
Yeah, Tribe are sitting very pretty at 11 kills to 0 here, a 10,000 gold lead. G2 Esports are getting, I would say, maybe a slightly closer in some of these fights. You know, they did manage to almost take out Dienzio. If Hunter had actually fired the basic attack prior to his jumping across the wall on him, maybe he even would have got the kill. G2 knows they need to keep, unfortunately for them, bang their heads against a wall to some extent. Eventually, maybe the wall will show a fracture.
I mean, I guess if you bang your head against the wall for eternity, eventually the wall will break down here. But with more gold swinging over to Tribe, they are making sure that this eternity does not exist and that there is a time on G2's ability to come back into this game.
G2 Esports now have to worry about Kraken, which has entered the fray here as well. Tribe has a very easy objective to force fights around. They have a very long range that you have to be careful of being engaged upon by Tribe. So G2 Esports, this is all or nothing. They have to have a good fight here. They've only got 2 turrets left standing. In fact, G2 Esports, they don't have Dark Potato. He's nowhere to be seen. He's in base trying to buy an item, I assume. That's going to be a lot of damage already down onto Kiana Nakoa. He can't get out of there. Hondor jumps into the middle of the fight. He goes down. Tribe, they're in hot pursuit of Dark Potato. They get themselves the ace yet again. 2 turrets left standing, and Tribe should be taking those out pretty darn soon. They're just going to go back, clean up Kraken, and play it safe.
Yeah, very questionable play coming out of G2 there. Like you mentioned, Dark Potato back at the base, and there was no real reason that Hondor or Kiana Nakoa should have been there. Yesterday, they got a miraculous Kraken steal against Team Kraken, but that was as a 3, and that was after many ultimates were used. That's turrets going down here. One Vein Crystal turret dropped for these guys as well, and now the Kraken has been unleashed. Tribe looking to push on in towards the end, AJ, and G2 haven't been able to make their way into this game.
Tribe are beginning the push that could be the death knell for G2 Esports. They need a miracle right now. It's going to be quite difficult to find that opportunity. Max Green does take some poke, but in the process finds 3 chains. What a huge trespass from Max Green. Tribe pull the trigger. They jump in. They find the kills. Tribe are 1 win away from being our first team at Worlds 27, moving forwards to the semifinals.
Dienzio stealing away. Max Green's triple kill. This guy is a monster for Tribe. All of these players are showing up. All of these players are making the plays, and Tribe taking game 2 of this best of 5, wanting to make it a clean 3-0 over Europe. Only 1 away of doing so.
Very impressive performance from Tribe. Game 1, there were some dicey moments. G2 Esports looked like real contenders that time around. But this game, very, very different story, Dowsey. G2 barely could get themselves on the board.
And I fear for G2 now, they're a team that have a lot of emotions invested in this tournament. The only representation of Europe going against their North American rivals as well. That's going to be a hard match to lose, and in such a way. Keanu Nakoa not being able to block those Churnwalker ultimates as well has to be playing back in his head. They have to reset right here if they're going to have any chance in this series.
All right, well, let's break that game down a little bit more back at the analyst desk before we head into game number 3.
There we go. Thank you very much, guys. Yes, that was a bit one-sided coming on through. Game 1, absolutely toe-to-toe between these two teams. Game 2, Tribe seem to have figured G2 out now, it seems, because that was a perfect game coming out here. Tribe absolutely on the ball in this one.
And I got 2 words, live buff. They definitely showed it today with Zeo, Tigers, and Max showing up. I mean, the game was just so calculated. At the 2:15-minute mark, they got the turret down to 10%, and Max Green played at Churnwalker so expertly with his trespass stuns. It was amazing. And then finally, you look at a team that controls the map so well. Goldminer was taken at 7 minutes, 10 minutes, and 14:30. That means they have complete control of the game, and that's why it allowed them to take all these objectives so easily.
My 2 words are going to be early aggression. I think that's the story here for Tribe and throughout the day 1 of this competition as well. I mean, Koshka in the first game and now the Sky Weapon Power, we talked about them before the series started in the draft. G2 had to play around them very carefully. It doesn't seem like they have a plan in terms of how to actually counter those picks.
I'll jump on this train and say my 2 words are target focus. G2 this game did not have good target focus whatsoever. Almost every team fight, it felt like they were just kind of hitting whoever they could. Like whoever their finger happened to tap on was who they were hitting. There were multiple fights that we saw, and we were talking amongst ourselves and said, if that Baron double shot had hit Sky, this team fight goes the other way. If that stun had landed onto someone else, this team fight goes very different. And they just didn't really focus as a team onto one target during the fights.
Well, my 2 words are going to be good lord, because Tribe look clean in this series. Let's take a look at a replay of one of the fights that happened later on in the game. And this was Dienzio absolutely sweeping up across the course of this replay. And this is a representation of basically all of the fights across this game.
And again, you look at this one, and first of all, this was one of the few times where the stun from the trespass was blocked, but this was one of the specific ones we were talking about with that Baron double jump. If those 2 shots go onto Sky, when Sky is at a sliver of health, if Sky falls in this fight, G2 almost certainly turn that one around, grab an ace, and get themselves some objectives, get themselves back in the game.
And this game was really a story about how Tribe managed to snowball the game throughout the first 4, 5, and 6 minutes. They started playing very aggressive in the lane with the Churnwalker and the Sky. Against the scaling lane matchup with the Baron, they were able to take a turret and then kill after kill. It just relentless aggression from Tribe, and that's their best suit to play in.
I got one last 2 words, minion candy. Right, the 3:45 mark, they used minion candy and got the first turret in under 4 minutes, and that's a meta that I was waiting for a lot of teams to pull out, because minion candy is super strong in the early phase of the game and allows you to take a first turret very soon.
Yeah, and they certainly abused that power spike and made it happen for themselves. So let's take a look at the damage that was done during that game and see who the strongest contenders were for these 2 teams. Max Green actually nearing the top of the table for that one. I'm not 100% sure the bars are accurate on that one, but you can see the numbers on the right.
Yes.
With Dienzio and T-Tigers actually very close to one another.
Here's why. Churnwalker, Max Green landed every hook. He got 3 hooks multiple times, and every time his team takes damage, 30% of the damage is reflected to the victims that are chained. So that's why his damage is so high.
I mean, there was a kill at the very beginning. There was, I think, the first blood onto Hundor. He stayed in range within the Churnwalker hook. He didn't realize how much damage it would continuously deal to him, and that's how he died. He died single-handedly to that hook and chain at the very end when he got solo.
Absolutely, and now we have to start to talk about the 3rd game in this series, and I'm curious, gentlemen, what can G2 do to come back into this series? Because it feels like game 1 was a lot stronger for them. Is that maybe a strategy that they need to fall back to? Maybe try and play that same style once again?
Absolutely. They need to go ahead and get themselves a strong mid-game. We talk about G2 having a great late game, and we talk about Tribe having a great early game, but it's whoever controls the mid-game is the team that ends up running away with these or making the games exceptionally close like we saw in Game 1.
Yeah, they also should get off the Batiste as well. And also don't pick up Baron into double mobile carries such as Razer and Sky, who are really good into Baron. So I feel like their draft needs to be a little different. And wow, they're going to pull out their trump card here and first pick a Lorelei.
I mean, it's win or go home. You've got to play a trump card if you've got it right now.
And that's the great thing about a best of 5 is if you still have something in your pocket that you can pull up, you can bring it out and hopefully get a reverse sweep here in this series in the quarterfinals.
I feel like reverse sweep is almost a swear word this early on in this series. We'll see if they can take it game by game. But that's the thing. You're absolutely right. If they can do that, they have to take it game by game. They have to look at this one as a best of one, win this, and then move forward. Forget the rest of the series.
The thing that I want to touch on is throughout the early game, or not the early game, throughout the first game and the second game, Tribe had much easier win conditions with their compositions, and that's how they're winning the draft. The winning draft is the one that brings you out with an easier win condition, as something, a plan that's easier to execute on, and Tribe has been the team that's had those throughout the last 2 games.
Yeah, a game is not won or lost in the draft, but it can certainly give you a very strong edge going onto the fold. So with this Koshka, again, early game pressure is going to be the name of the game for Tribe.
Yeah, there's Vox, Baron still up. You pick Vox, G2 can pick the Baron to counter that. However, Baron is weak to Koshka. There's also Weapon Sky with Koshka is very, very strong. So I feel like Tribe will probably take the Weapon Sky here because if they don't, G2 will probably take it away.
Grace is going to be the lock-in here for Tribe. So making sure that they have that sustain for the longer team fights. And this is looking very similar to what they drafted in game number 1. We'll see if G2 can see that starting to build in front of their eyes and maybe find a different way to go against it.
Yeah, I mean, right now, obviously, it's going to be very difficult to find a composition for G2 that can deal with both Grace and Koshka. They two pair so well together, just like we always talk about the Black Feather and the Grace. The Koshka and the Grace is a very similar strategy because it's all about just jumping in with the Koshka, and then as she's trying to get away, when you start to focus her, you throw the Divine Intervention onto her, and all of a sudden you can't get a kill.
They can actually play Rhyme here. Rhyme is actually a good counter to Grace and Koshka. He can stand his ground, get a lot of fortified health, and then be able to fight Grace and Taka.
Really wants a Rhyme to come out in the World Series.
I mean, 100% win rate, right?
Pretty frequently, but
it would be very surprising just because he got nerfed so hard in 2.10. What I would say is a good pick here is Vox. It plays both against the Koshka and the Grace. If you get a Poison Shift, you reduce the heals coming up from the Divine Interventions. And Hundar, we mentioned before, he plays it very well. Looks like it's going to be a CP Lorelei potentially.
Yeah, Jungle Lorelei is actually very strong. Her Fish Food actually lasts for 8 seconds, so her clear is very strong. That's what makes junglers so good, like Koshka, etc., because they have fast clear. They're going to be really good rotation-wise.
The other thing is Tribe, when they have the Koshka, they like to pick a late-game focused carry in the lane, and the late-game focused carries are often fairly immobile, and if you put the Fish Food underneath an immobile carry, it does a ton of damage.
Jungle Lorelei is something that we actually saw Ace Gaming play earlier against Hunters in the matches coming up from Group D. They played him in the played her in the jungle, and played her. Tasa picked up an Aftershock on her, very interestingly.
Right,
it does seem like it's going to be also the Vox that I talked about. I mean, with this composition, it just seems like it's all about Hundor. Protect the Hundor, a very classic G2 composition, so going back to their roots once their backs are against the wall here.
Yeah, they cannot pick Baron. Baron has more range than Vox. Definitely not as strong early, but you have Koshka and Grace who are both very strong early, and Baron can carry that late game, so they can go for Weapon Sky here or a Baron is the obvious picks for Tribe at this second. With Lorelei, the cooldown Aftershock build is really good because she can actually put multiple splashdowns, which empowers her abilities. And it's going to be a weapon Adagio coming out here. Wow.
Adagio for Dienzio. We saw in the Summer Unified Championships, it was Old School and Dienzio both running this Adagio. Dienzio trying to make a statement here as they look to get themselves into the semifinals.
All right, we need to get into game number 3 of the quarterfinals here. Gentlemen, can G2 do it here? Can they pull themselves back into the series, or is this going to be a clean sweep for Tribe?
This is definitely going to be a clean sweep, but both drafts are decent.
All right.
Yeah, G2 has a solid draft here, but Tribe has just looked the better team. I think Tribe takes this 3-0.
Two for Tribe.
I'm going to stick it out with G2 just because they actually have the best draft throughout the series so far.
My man over there on the desk.
Nothing if not persistent.
2 for 1 there for Tribe. We'll see what the scoreline is going to be as they head on into the game. It's time to hit the 3rd game of this quarterfinal. It's time to see if Europe's hopes are going to die with this next game.
Europe desperately trying to stay in this tournament. Dalsy, it is their last chance. If they lose a single game more, they are going home. It's going to be an exciting game coming up. My name's Action Jackson, here with Dalsy, as aforementioned. We got an interesting draft here, actually, from both sides. A very potent one coming out of G2, but a very interesting Adagio lock-in coming at the end of that draft there from Tribe.
Yeah, so the Adagio lock-in's very classic Zio here, looking to just play that weapon power Adagio and take over with his high mechanical skill needed for that. But let's talk about G2, because that's a little bit more interesting. That Lorelei in the jungle, like mentioned earlier, it could go with the Aftershock clockwork, so you have splashdown off cooldown, water war off cooldown all the time. Yep. Tassa played it earlier against Hunters in the day, and they dominated when they hyper carried creation. We know G2 like to hyper carry Hundor, so I'm expecting that to be the plan. Just get him that 4-item Vox build and try and run it down and take out Tribe.
Hundor has a pretty incredible Vox, to be honest. I do think that's a solid option for them, and I'm not surprised that when it all comes down to this one last game, they're trying to put him on something that can just really run away with a game.
It's very interesting because earlier, the aforementioned game, Korea versus China, it's a very much a play style difference where you have forced aggression versus calculation and late game style. Getting into this 3rd game, we've kind of got two regions that do the same. North America very aggressive, EU very passive and try and be conservative, and you've got those play styles coming out in huge spades here. So I'm really excited to see if G2 can pull this off, because if any comp can work into this aggressive style that Tribe have drafted, it has to be this one that G2 has drafted.
Absolutely. G2 versus Tribe. Tribe 1 win away from being the first team into the semifinals at Worlds 2017. You mentioned them as a dark horse earlier on, not qualifying through the championships, being the wild card from North America from the West. They certainly want to show up and put on an incredible performance. G2 Esports, though, the pride of Europe, the sole representative of the region, heading in 2017 Worlds, desperately trying to fight back. The early game going to be very impactful, you have to imagine, in this one. Of course, Grace and Koshka, a very strong early game duo. Are they going to look to put a lot of pressure on a G2 here?
We've been talking about a jungle Lorelei this whole time, and it's a jungle Arden coming out of Dark Potato. Very similar playstyle. It will be an Aftershock you'd feel into a clockwork type style, unless he has Tasty Bacon in mind and he wants to play some weapon power Arden. I think that would be a treat for Tasty Bacon. I'm not sure I would agree with that decision, but I think that the Crystal Power Arden is something that, you know, myself, Ex-Scoundrels, we kind of talked about 2.10's meta and what we might see coming out into Worlds. That was one of those really off-the-cuff picks that especially East Asia were pulling out in their games.
If we do see the weapon Arden, I better get my weapon Lyra. That's all. I mean, come on. It's got to happen. But Tribe, are they going to be able to shut down this Arden? You know, I would expect, perhaps with the jungle Lorelei, that Grace and Koshka could put a lot of pressure on, although hang on. Koshka's got to be careful. T-Tigers finds himself in a bit of a bind. Whoa. That's going to be a great plan coming down. T-Tigers, he's in a tough spot. Hundor's even here to find the backup. T-Tigers does have the boots active to get out of there, though. Ends up just burning some of G2's time.
Koshka's such an annoying hero, man. Like, you stun her down, you lock her up, you put Kitty in the corner, and then she just runs away because she's so fast. T-Tigers knows exactly what he can do with this hero, and all this time it is, of course, Dienzio pushing into the lane with that minion candy, such an influential item here at the World's Update, and oh, Dark Potato's in trouble.
Yeah, he's trying to get that camp. He doesn't actually find it. That's bad news. He needed the regeneration. Meanwhile, in the lane, Keanu Nakoa nearly going down solo to Dienzio. That means that he doesn't have the backup. Look at this. T-Tigers, he forces a flask out of the members of G2 Esports. That is a big cooldown pop for basically no investment. Tribe continuing to lay on pressure here. It's going to be a missed stun from Keanu also. T-Tigers is burning all the cooldowns.
Keanu just about escaping that one there. This turret, though, is being pressured by Dienzio so heavily, almost taking it down solo. T-Tiger's going to run away from Dark Potato here. There's almost no way
he wants to go back. What was that? T-Tigers bites off way more than he can chew, and now G2 Esports in hot pursuit. They're looking for more. Max Green, he's got to be careful. Can he get out of this one? Heal from Dienzio, buys some time, but he misses the Holy Nova. That's a kill. G2 Esports 2-0 up early in this game.
Yeah, that was a big mistake coming out of T-Tigers there. Disrespecting this Crystal Power Arden in the jungle, potentially forgetting it's a Crystal Power Arden in the jungle as well. Because of the fact that we're just so used to seeing Arden in that captain position, you can feel like you can take fights like that. Arden's a scary captain to do that into anyway because of his base damages, especially in the early game. But Dark Potato has that Storm Guard banner. He's building towards that Aftershock as well, and T-Tigers are going to have to be a little bit more respectful of this composition that G2's playing with.
He absolutely is. Tribe, even with that failed attempt under the turret there, do have a substantial amount of damage down upon it, and if they continue to siege, they will force the hand of G2, making them respond. Maybe this time Tribe not overextending so much, something to keep your eye on. That's going to be a good fish shoot there. Already the turret picked up. T-Tigers is able to walk in there, take it down, get out scot-free.
Yeah, and it's going to bring this gold difference back to even for Tribe here. G2 have been maintaining it. They've cut off. So
oh boy, T-Tigers, he wants to go in again. He has hit level 6, but a good reflex block from Hundor. Not going to be enough as Lorelei falls, though. Keanu out of the fight means Tribe has the numbers advantage. They want to keep this one rolling, slow coming through. Dienzio has a lot of damage right now. Flask popped onto Hundor. Might mean that he can turn around. Dienzio's got to be careful. Look at the damage. Hundor's actually annihilating Tribe right now. Flask bait not going to come through. Hundor smells it. Dienzio gets out of there, though.
Oh, it's Europe and their Treants rooting up North America, bringing some love over to the SCA region. You have to fear those European Treants in the jungle, supporting their team and almost gifting a kill or two over to Hundor due to that Treant route. But it is Tribe taking down Keanu Nakoa. They are looking to focus down this captain. They did so in the previous game, and they're doing it here as well. Recognizing Keanu Nakoa as a potential mental weakness of G2. This guy looks very chill in his demeanor, but has an emotional side to him that I think Tribe have been exploiting, and he's going to have to really get his head screwed on right because this composition that G2 have is just so good, and they can really start to win these mid to late game team fights. When Hundor gets to that late game stage, it's going to be very difficult for Dienzio to deal with him.
G2 Esports do not want this gold mine going the way of Tribe, but they might have bitten off a fight they can't fight here as Keanu Nakoa gets jumped on by T-Tigers. He is going to fall very quickly in this one. Dienzio is low. He's trying to take out Hundor. He manages to get the trade down. It's just Dark Potato 1 versus 2. He's got no way out of here. T-Tigers wants to come in. That's not the Lost Boy play. Tribe find themselves an ace.
Yeah, brilliant play coming out of Tribe, turning immediately onto a overextended Keanu Nakoa, who did not use his fountain whatsoever in that previous fight. They have truly got Keanu Nakoa on the back foot here, and just by some forced aggression, they're continuing to put it down. Goes down so quickly, and he just is unable to block up the Koshka ultimate as well. And from that point onwards, even despite losing Dienzio, it's clean up city for T-Tigers. And whilst it is a bit more of a scarier Arden in play because he has some damage in his kit, this kitty cat is able to clean up for the ace. Right now, Tribe Gaming are looking to snowball so heavily that Hundor never gets into a position where he can hyper carry.
But he does have that breaking point now, and if he can survive long in these fights, it could do a lot of work. T-Tigers doesn't want that to happen, though. Trying to take out Keanu Nakoa. This time, reflex blocks there. Hundor, he needs to kite backwards. He's taking a lot of incidental ambient damage from Tribe at the time being. That's going to be the gauntlet. G2 Esports want to stand their ground. Bounces coming through, but the damage not competing with what Dienzio has to offer. The first pick goes over to Tribe. Keanu Nakoa just cannot stay alive.
Yeah, the call was made there from G2 to escape, and Keanu Nakoa potentially overreaching, trying to land a fish food to catch up Tribe when they could have continued walking away from this composition. Tribe going to take away a gold miner here, AJ, and really just can solidify their position in this game, in this series as well. Hundor got armor in his inventory as well, meaning he's going to be actually going a 3-item box build. Maybe he just holds on to that coat of plates for now and subs it out for a 4th damage item later, but it's not really a hyper carry Hundor if he's not building towards 4 items on the box, so something to care about, I think, in this game.
To be continued on that point, he's actually picked up an infusion and popped it already, so a lot of the money that he had, he's committing to fighting right now, which is actually quite curious. We'll have to see if it pans out for them. It's only a level 9 infusion. Max Green is coming in on the flank. G2's got to be careful not to overextend. No tier 1 turret available.
T-Tigers has just been focusing so hard on Keanu Nakoa here. It makes a lot of sense, really. Keanu Nakoa on this Lorelei, a very squishy target. Isn't the lowest health member, but is very squishy.
Go. T-Tigers trying to set something up again. Good gauntlet actually stunning T-Tigers up, though that buys a lot of time for the repositioning out of Hundor. He's still quite healthy, doing a lot of damage right now. Fountain already popped, though. T-Tigers wants to turn things around. He does get the trade-off. Keanu Nakoa, he's likely going to fall. Not actually, he just barely gets out of there, but unfortunately for him, Dark Potato cannot do the damage. Keanu might escape, but 2 of his teammates have fallen. Tribe keep taking these fights. Max Green, whoa, he is close to retribution range there, but not quite.
Yeah, and this is just an issue that Dark Potato is not quite able to provide any damage in these team fights. He provides a lot of utility for now, but he is effectively playing the role of a second captain for Hundor, and Hundor needs to be getting into those damage items, yet he is prioritizing defensive here, really looking to try and sustain in these team fights against T-Tigers and Dienzio. They're getting close, G2, getting very close to finding kills in these team fights.
Might have another one of those team fights kicking off right now. Keanu Nakoa jumped on yet again. This time, though, Max Green was extremely low right off the bat. Hundor, he's focusing so hard on Max Green, but he's not dealing with the fact that T-Tigers is already on top of him. He's trying to kite out. It's not going to be enough. Dark Potato is likely to fall here. Also, one more attack would do it. How is he getting out of this one? That is the boots active. T-Tigers locks it in. An ace comes through for Tribe. North America looking to send their first team to the semifinals if things keep going this way.
Yeah, the Dark Horses from North America, the wild card dream, from challengers to unified second place to worlds, has been Tribe's journey here in North America, and it's been a fabulous one to witness. Getting closer towards that semifinals place. Very, very close, and G2 seemingly crumbling under the pressure here, not able to keep up with the aggressive plays from T-Tigers. Keanu Nakoa not quite able to be in a position where he can provide the utility he needs to on this Lorelei. That fight happening before the Fountain Fountain had refilled for him and the cooldown wasn't there.
There's a weapon infusion popped onto Hundor, but look at this. Not actually trying to back up Keanu too much right now. T-Tigers has gone quite deep. Does take a lot of trade damage back from Hundor, but it is Keanu who's been suffering the most from that one. Having a recall means an easy gold mine from Tribe.
And it's really hard for Keanu because it's so easy for us to look at him being singled out by Tribe and blame Keanu for these team fights and for his deaths, but this is a really conscious decision that Tribe are making to single out Keanu. They could be focusing down Hundor in these team fights, but they are very much focusing down this Lorelei every single time. T-Tigers looking to dive on into that.
Yeah, T-Tiger is continuing to try and make these plays happen. He does get the ultimate on the backline, but not find the stun. Hundor, he's doing a lot of work. He's got to keep kiting, though. First kill of the fight goes the way of Dienzio. Hundor, he's trying to kite, but he's not going towards safety. He's not going towards the base. He's going into the jungle. He's so low right now, can't do the damage. Keanu, this time, he is the last man standing, but he is going to be the last man falling as well. Tribe hunt him down into the jungle. It's an ace yet again. 13 kills to 4. Tribe want to lock things in style.
Yeah, looking to take down this choke point turret. And I think they will just make their way back over towards the jungle and finish off that Crystal Sentry afterwards. To continue on that, point that I was making, Hunter was really only the damage source for G2. Dark Potato doesn't have any damage to output in these team fights. He is effectively playing the role of a second captain here. Another Crucible has come through for him. He has shielding, he has armor in a Storm Guard banner. There's not much really to offer to the side of G2 if Hundor doesn't have the damage to output. He's going towards a Sorrow Blade now, looking to try and finish that damage build, but because of his prioritization on defense, it's not going to come through for quite some time here for G2, and time is not a commodity they have to waste, not a commodity they have to spend either. That Kraken's coming into the Hunter Halcyon Fold in just half a minute now, AJ. And Tribe are going to be in ready position to either team fight and take that Kraken or just, force G2 into a position they don't want to be.
Hundor urgently needs to pick up that next damage item. Dalsy, you're absolutely right. In a lot of these fights, he is actually surviving until, being the second member or something like that, but he just can't quite tear through Tribe's defenses.
Because of the fact that this is a hyper carry, protect the carry composition, you can't really focus the carry. You have to focus the assets that protect the carry. So that's either the Lorelei or the Arden, and that's what Tribe are doing in all these fights, is focusing either down Keanu Nakoa or Dark Potato, because Hundor's going to get shield after shield, movement speed boost after movement speed boost, but when you start to strip away that utility, then you can start to take down this box.
Atlas Pauldron picked up for Lorelei here. Keanu trying to give his team a little bit more space with that item. Could be quite useful, but look at this. Tribe already on the Kraken as soon as it spawns. They are chunking through it. Dark Potato, he knows something's up, gonna spot what's happening. T-Tiger's on the front line, is going to get jumped on. Hundor, he's going straight onto the back though. He wants Dienzio. The silence goes wide, only lands onto T-Tiger's first kill of the fight. Lands onto Keanu Nakoa. Hundor needs to keep kiting here. It's the same old story, Dalsy. He just can't do enough. That's a Holy Nova. Dienzio finds himself the kill. It's going to be an ace again for Tribe. They're quadrupling G2 Esports kills. They have a Kraken they can go take. Dienzio can look towards base turrets, towards shoving the wave. Europe, their last hope, is really on the ropes right now.
Yeah, they certainly are, and it's been a fantastic run for Europe at this World Championship. G2 have outperformed expectations of the international crowd by taking games off these teams, off Team Kraken, off of Detonation as well. G2 have outperformed expectations, making it to the group stages here, but against Tribe, it's just such a hard task to complete, to take down this North American superstar team of Dienzio, Max Green, and T-Tigers. Dienzio and T-Tigers, we've known from so many previous live championships, get such a huge buff when they're together, and Max Green has just been a star shining so bright for them. It's all or nothing once more for G2, a position they don't want to be in.
Here comes potentially a game-ending push from Tribe. They're looking to close things out right here